Well, good evening. I'd like to ask, what was you based on to create such strong characters, such as, for example, Cersei or Caitlyn, in a world where women wouldn't almost have any power or any sort of ways to show themselves? Basically, what was you based on to create such characters in the books?
I think that he asked about the women and the way that they were portrayed in those worlds that they didn't have any power. So where did you get the inspiration to get so powerful with those characters of the women?
Well, I drew much of my inspiration from history. Um, if you read a lot of medieval history, like Westeros, it's basically a patriarchal society where women have quite restricted roles in society, and there are certain things that women are not allowed to do. And they're not allowed to be the pope or to be a bishop or to have offices in the church. Depending on a country, in some cases, they could inherit a crown or a lordship. In other cases, they could not. That changed over time in various things. They were not allowed to enter certain professions. They were, the property of their husband or their father or whatever. All of these restrictions existed, and women had to function under them for many centuries. Nonetheless, various strong and powerful women still arose and affected the course of history. Eleanor of Aquitaine was the wife of two kings and mother to two more kings, and was probably one of the most dominant personalities of her age. Joan of Arc turned the entire course of the Hundred Years' War and created France as it exists today, rather than being just part of England. These two characters are very well known, but there were many others. Isabella of Spain, partnered with Ferdinand, a hugely powerful queen. Elizabeth I of England, even her mother, Mary Tudor, or her sister rather, Mary Tudor, going back centuries earlier, the Civil War in England between Stephen and Matilda, which was over whether in fact a woman could in fact inherit the English crown, and they passed her over, but she was pissed about it and went to war, and that war ripped England apart for a generation. So there have been many strong women in history, even though the society was by no means an egalitarian one. And I try to reflect both things in my books to show a society that doesn't give women equal rights, and the frustrations and the pain and the difficulties that cause many of the women, but also to show certain women of strong character or ability dealing with that in one way or another, and what kind of accommodations they make with that, and how they succeed despite these restrictions, and the cost, because there's always a kind of a cost when you buck your social expectations. But it's certainly one of the things that I deal with in the books. One of the things that pleases me most about these books is that I do have so many women readers, and that so many of them come up to me and tell me they do like the women characters in the books, because that is something I work on. And it's not true of a lot of fantasy. I think a lot of fantasy either neglects women, or if they do use women, like the women warrior has become sort of a stock, almost cartoonish character, the babe in the brass bikini, which is sort of impractical. So I'm trying to deal with these things and turn these on their head and offer a wide variety of different women who are different from each other and reflect different ways of dealing with a kind of society like that.